Hey guys, welcome back to Bridal Sewing Techniques. Today we're going to learn about how to let out a bodice, or more specifically, how to gusset a lace gown. Okay, so the gown has already been let out. You can see the creases from the old seam, and the lace has been cut away around the pattern of the lace. Often you'll find the lace overlaps and has been sewn together. That was not the case here. Sometimes you do have to actually cut the lace. So you can see the edge there, how I went alongside the pattern of the lace. Now here I've prepared the dress. I've got it hanging over the iron where I'm going to be working. You guys know I'm big on this. I just don't want to chase a dress around the whole time while I'm working on it. I want something else to hold it. This will prevent back injuries, whatever. A lot of times it just prevents frustration. So I've got the bodice of the dress is draped along the top of the ironing board. You can see sitting on the tailor's ham. I've gathered my materials. I've got some stitch witchery, which the bride was fine with me to use as a stabilizer. And then I have the lace that we're going to gusset that piece with. So here I'm going to let you see the packaging for the stitch witchery. Now this is really funny. It says on here the instructions are on the back. So let's just look at those. Okay. So we have instructions to infinity with this. I think the packaging is really funny. So it's actually in between the layers, and you can only read it when you have finished using all the stitch witchery. So I guess the first time you use this, I don't know, maybe search them on the interwebs or pop it apart and read it. Here I took a still if you want to pause it so you can read it. Okay, so here I've cut out the piece of lace that is going to be the gusset. It's a little triangle. It matches the lace very well that is already on the bodice. And a gusset, by the way, is just a fancy word for a piece of fabric that you're going to grow the outfit with or grow the gown with. I'm saying outfit because it can be used for anything. You can grow a shirt, a skirt, whatever. So gusset, that term is used for any type of clothing, really. I think I've even heard in home decor. I've heard it used in home decor. So I'm placing the lace underneath the beaded lace. I'm going to feed it through and make sure it's nice and flat. And make sure the edge of the new lace is flush with the top of the bodice. So here goes the fusible webbing. Again, this is just a temporary stabilizer. We do not use this in place of sewing. This is just to save you a couple of basting stitches is all. It's a really smooth way to hold your project in place. Okay, so I cut that little slit in there just so I could change the angle. So they'll kind of just feed smoothly into one another. If I were to break any threads when I was cutting that, the threads that were holding the beads down, I would have to cement those or sew them, knot them off, something like that, so they wouldn't come loose. This is the underarm area, so it's going to get abused. So you would definitely be on the lookout for that. Make sure you're not breaking any threads. Alright, so I'm going to have to sew along this edge, and I'm going to have to tack the bottom of the gusset down so it would never happen to ride up or get bumpy or anything. Alright, I'm going to bend my needle a little bit so that it'll come back out of the fabric really easily. I'm using a super light thread. It's almost invisible. Here's the information on it. Anytime you can always pause to see the information. And anytime I'm sewing, you may like to watch the detail of me sewing, or you may get bored. If you hit the three dots, I think it's in the upper right hand corner, hit the three dots and you can change the speed of the video. So when I'm sewing, if you want to see it go faster, you know, you can watch it twice as fast. All right, so I'm going to run that needle through this loop to lock that knot so it doesn't pull through the lace. I'm holding the slack with my left hand. You'll see that I'm using a lot of the same sewing techniques that I used for the video about how to sew the lace applique down on the hip. This is a very similar thing, how we're going to go along the edge of the lace. And I'm just going to sew for a while. I'm going to definitely get the borders of these laces really, really well, particularly since this is underarm. And one thing I'm going to show you here in a little bit too is whenever I am working on the underarm, if I have to remove beadwork or if I'm gusseting like this, and there happens to be no beadwork on this lace, I give the bride a choice. Do you want me to replace the beadwork or not? Most of the time they do not want it replaced because beadwork is so uncomfortable on the underarm. So they know that it's not really going to be seen much, and it's actually going to be much more comfortable without it. So I had the discussion with this particular bride, and she does not want the lace to be beaded. So we're just going to blend it in really flush with the beaded lace and call it a day where that is concerned. I think it's a really good idea, by the way. I never give real recommendations on what they should do. I just kind of give them the information they need to make the decision for how, you know, for their needs. But if they ask me my personal preference, I'll tell them I wouldn't want beads there on my dress. It can really cause chafing. So here I'm just going to let you watch me sew for a little while. Again, you can speed it up if you want. Okay, so that knot will be cemented with the hypo cement so it doesn't come undone. So I'm going to go thoroughly stitch all of this down for this V and tack that gusset down. Just a reminder. Alright, so you can see the finished product here, how this looks. And it fit her beautifully. It laid very, very nicely. There it is without the beads up close. There it is from far away without the beads. It looks just fine without them. Don't forget to hit the red subscribe button. It helps us continue to make these. And also, don't forget, the instructions are on the back.